Well, kids, one of my favorite pastimes is fact checking MAGA BS. It's actually become a full time job. Now, Trump in his first term alone had over 30,000 verified lies, which is an average of 21 lies per day. But MAGA Senator Tim Scott just said, hold my beer, as he managed to lie once every 6.6 seconds in a 60-second video that he just posted. It's almost as if facts don't matter in MAGA world. And that's mainly because they don't, like at all. So before we break down this latest pants on fire propaganda extravaganza from the Trump world, go ahead, hit subscribe so we can average, a new follower every 6.6 seconds, because lying is easy for Republicans, but accountability is hard, and we Democrats are here to help with that. Although dealing in rumors can be fun, like the one that's been going around for years, that Tim Scott is gay, which would actually make him more likable in my opinion. So let's move on and stick with some facts here. Senator Scott, like all Republicans, are bending themselves into a pretzel, a very heterosexual pretzel, to try and dispute the Congressional Budget Office's estimate that Trump's big, beautiful bill is going to increase the federal deficit by over $2 trillion. Ouch. So, Tim Scott made a short 60-second video with 9 lies in it, and here we go.
In 2017, the CBO said the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act would increase the deficit and the debt by trillions of dollars. Well, what happened? They were wrong.
All right, and there's line number 1. The CBO was right, and Senator Scott hopes that you're now watching a video like this to show otherwise. Those cuts added about $1.4 trillion to our debt, and the tax cuts did not pay for themselves. So, what else you got?
Now, this is not surprising. They were wrong on the melon tax cuts in the 1930s.
Ooh, history lesson time. Here are lies 2 and 3, and these are kind of funny. The CBO couldn't have been wrong about these tax cuts because the CBO was not created until the 1970s. So obviously they didn't weigh in on tax cuts from the 1930s, as Scott is alleging here, which is actually another mistake on his part. Those melon tax cuts were implemented in the 1920s, not the 30s. But hey, who's counting? I mean, besides the CBO. And here's a fun fact. By the 1930s, Mellon had realized that those tax cuts, they were adding to the deficit. So he recommended, wait for it, increasing taxes on the rich. So what else you got now, Senator Scott?
They were wrong on the Kennedy tax cuts in the 1960s.
Hey, now there's lie number 4. Again, the CBO didn't exist in the 1960s. So unless Marty McFly sent them all back in time to be wrong in the 60s, Senator Scott is wrong again, and he is in fact not a great Scott.
Great Scott! Great Scott! Great Scott!
All right, moving on to the 1980s, which is a time when both Marty McFly and the CBO did actually exist. So what's an 80s claim that'll make me want to gag myself with a spoon, Mr. Not So Great Scott?
They were wrong on the Reagan tax cuts in the 1980s.
And please welcome to the stage lie number 5, as Scott is suggesting the CBO overestimated the impact of those cuts on the deficit, when in fact the only thing they got wrong was how much revenue those cuts would yield. Oops. Ultimately, those cuts exploded our national debt, which led to President Reagan actually, don't tell anyone, increasing taxes to try to stop that bleeding. And that is the same self-inflicted wound the MAGA types are now proposing with this big, beautiful bill, exploding the deficit.
When have they been right? I don't know either. But what I can tell you, 2017 TCJA produced 3% increase in revenues in 2018 and another 3% in 2019.
All right. And there are lies number 6 and 7, Mr. Senator. That's actually what the CBO did estimate for those years. If anything, it slightly overestimated the revenue after the tax cuts, but the agency did not underestimate it. And it basically scored a bullseye with their estimates for both of those years, proving that the CBO is nonpartisan and that math is also nonpartisan.
Because the Laffer Curve is right. If you lower taxes, you increase production, and that means more revenues for the government. It always has worked. I think it always will work.
All right, we got to get a little nerdy to explain lie number 8 right there. So that term comes from economist Arthur Laffer. And the point that Laffer tried to make was that there's an optimum level of taxation somewhere between 0 and 100% that will in fact get the most revenue for a government. But he himself wrote, quote, "The Laffer Curve itself does not say whether a tax cut will raise or lower revenues," end quote. So Senator Scott is just wrong to cite this, as even the guy it's named after does not agree that all tax cuts are magical and will increase revenues regardless.
CBO, wrong then, wrong now.
Yeah, let me correct that. Senator Tim Scott, wrong then, wrong now. Every example he pointed out has failed to show that the CBO was wrong. And this last line counts as the 9th error in 60 seconds. And that's a new MAGA record. Woot woot. Congratulations. Just the facts, ma'am. And by the way, Senator Scott has yet to take that video post down because MAGA world will never let a few facts get in the way of gaslighting you. Please like, comment, and share this video. I'd like to know how you feel. In other words, get vocal. I'm Steve Harness from the Vocal Minority with Nick and Steve podcast, available everywhere. We're doing it right here for Really American Media.